If you're heading on a trip to Disney World and you don't want to get left hanging, then this video, it's for you. I don't know why the editing and script writing team is so mean to me and bringing up all these memories, but Tigger, if you're watching this, buddy, I still need that high five. Anyways, we've surveyed all the families here at Fanvia Travel that are heading on a trip to Disney World, and we've come up with a list of the top 27 mistakes that people make before they step foot on Disney World property. So this video is going to help you feel prepared. Let's start by diving into the crowds. Not only is Walt Disney World the happiest place on earth, it can also be the busiest place on earth. And so if you were looking at those crowd calendars over at fanvia.com, you're going to notice three different things. There's the Run Disney crowd, and this event happens a few times every single year where they block off a lot of the roads at 2 or 3 a.m. and people are lining up and doing these crazy races and costumes and stuff like that. But as you can imagine, after a long day of doing races, or at least a long morning, you're going to spend a great day over at the parks. It's one of the perks, and that's what brings in a lot of people to those parks on race weekend. The next big crowd that you'll notice is the cheer crowd and the gymnastics crowd. So ESPN Wide World of Sports has a big event center, and a lot of people come in for those competitions in both the spring and the fall. And that third crowd to watch out for is the holiday crowd. So July 4th at Magic Kingdom is a vibe. It was so much fun watching the fireworks over the castle, but you can also spend Thanksgiving at Animal Kingdom. You can even spend New Year's Eve at Epcot, and trust me, that is also a vibe. It is a lot of fun if you can spend a holiday at the parks, but they are going to be pretty busy, especially at nighttime. Pro tip though, never say I never did anything for you here on this channel, but my favorite week of the year to go to Disney World is the week after Thanksgiving, because of course everybody's going to have off the Thanksgiving week, but most kiddos do not automatically have off that week after Thanksgiving. They've got testing and all that kind of stuff. So if you can pull your kids out of school to do a Disney World trip, I recommend going the week after Thanksgiving. The crowds are surprisingly light, but you get to enjoy all of the Christmas decorations. You've probably heard by now that new restaurant reservations can be made up to 60 days in advance. And well, if you didn't know that, now you do. And if you've ever tried to find, though, a 6 p.m. reservation for Ohana, it's almost as rare as finding Stitch himself in your backyard. But if you're staying on property, you can actually book an additional 10 days in advance. That's right. Let's say that you're staying February 1st to February 10th. Well, 60 days before February 1st, you can log in at 6 a.m. Unfortunately, that is 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, aka 3 a.m. for all my West Coasties. You get to make your reservations not only for February 1st, but because you're staying on property, you get to book all the way until February 10th. My pro tip here, though, is to not book based on what you think your park days will be. Reservations for Ohana, Topolino's Terrace, Space 220, and many more are super hard to get. So if you want to eat at specific restaurants, look at those days and book the restaurant reservations as you can find them first. Then build your park days around the restaurants, not the other way around, because if you really want to eat at a specific restaurant, just go grab the first reservation that you can see for that restaurant and then plan your park days around it. If you're hitting up Magic Kingdom, I always recommend budgeting for Lightning Lane Multipass for this day specifically. Young or old, it can be a very long day waiting in lines pretty much any time of the year. And yeah, it does cost more, but I think it's worth it, especially if you have a younger family. You don't necessarily have to purchase it though for all of the parks, but if you aren't rope dropping or you just really want a leisurely day at the parks, then you're probably going to want to budget extra just for this. If you are staying on property, your window to book opens up 7 days in advance and you can book for 14 days of your stay. So it's a little bit different than those dining reservations. And don't worry, we have tons of tips for maximizing your ride booking strategy over at fanvia.com. Spoiler alert, there are some rides though which are not available for multi-pass. They're only on Lightning Lane single pass, like Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. You could end up spending an extra $50 on a single pass to ride that ride, plus multi-pass for all of the other rides at Hollywood Studios. But don't worry, we've got you covered with a time-tested strategy over at fanvia.com. Booking too many park days is an easy trap to fall into, so don't fret if you feel overwhelmed in your planning process. I mean, hey, that's why you're watching this video, right? And if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up and definitely subscribe. But you know what? Some of my favorite family memories do happen when we are able to hang out at the resort and just swim and relax poolside. Seriously though, Disney hotels, they ain't cheap. So it's okay to stick around and go play on the playground or hang out at the pool all day. In fact, for our guests here at Fanvia Travel, for every 2 days that you spend at a park, I do always recommend a resort day. And trust me, some of the pools like Stormalong Bay at the Yacht and Beach Club are insane. and they're well worth just relaxing together as a family at a pool and not standing in line. While you may feel like you are missing out by not being at a park all day on your vacation, your family will thank me later when they all look back at those pictures of your epic sunburn that you got while lounging poolside with a strawberry daiquiri from Pedals in your hand. To rope drop or not to rope drop is always a question that I get here at Fanvia Travel. I'm really torn on this one because as a family with littles, it's basically impossible to get everyone up and moving at 6:30 a.m. on vacation to go stand in line to get into a park and then go stand in another line to go rope drop. Then you gotta go do stuff all day long. So I think the problem that most folks encounter here is trying to rope drop, then spending the entire day in the park. It's really hard to do that no matter what ages and stages you have in your family. And to reiterate, you're getting up super early on vacation. And if you don't get up early enough, then you miss the boat and rope drop probably doesn't help you at all. If you're going to rope drop, then be there 30 minutes before the park opens at minimum. For Animal Kingdom, this rule is 45 minutes at least. You are rope dropping in order to knock out as many rides as possible without having to wait in lines later in the day. But you won't be able to do everything no matter which park you're going to. Trust me on this. My advice, you're on vacation, so sleep in and let the Lightning Lane multipass strategy work for you. If you don't want to do Lightning Lane though, then be at the parks as early as you can and definitely plan an afternoon nap before heading back to the parks in the evening. Okay, I gotta admit, on this one, we have actually done it several times and had a good time, but we had a car. So if you're staying off property, it can be a good choice if you're doing a split stay between, like, let's say Disney and Universal or Disney and Legoland. There is something to be said though for staying inside the Disney bubble the entire time. The bubble that I'm talking about, it really just refers to the fact that you show up on property at Disney and you never have to step foot off-site until you're ready to head back to the airport. If you aren't driving in, then I would 100% say that you gotta try to stay on property if at all possible. If you don't have a vehicle with you, then you're gonna rack up a lot of rideshare charges pretty quickly. If you do have a vehicle and you're trying to stay off property to save money, well, just a heads up that it can add another hour to your already long day driving to the parks in the morning and then back off-site at night. If you only have a few days for vacation, then it's so much less stressful just hopping on the monorail or the Skyliner or a bus and being back in your room and tucked in bed in under 30 minutes. I think I already said this, but Disney resorts, they ain't cheap. So if you're planning to just crash in your room at nighttime, you could potentially save a lot of money by staying at a value resort. Or if you're coming into town for a single day at Animal Kingdom and then you want to do a resort day somewhere else, you should probably pick Animal Kingdom Lodge or Coronado Springs. This is where working with a Disney expert comes in hand. And luckily for you, you're listening to a Disney guru, and I've hired dozens of the best Disney experts on my team here at Fanvia Travel. So if you want to bounce an idea off our team or get a free quote and figure out which resort you should be staying at based on your budget and what you think you actually want to do, reach out and find your preferred advisor using the link in the description below. Either way, the resort you choose actually is a big deal, and it can make or break your entire vacation experience. Here's a fun question that we've gotten here at Fanvia Travel, and no, there is no Hogwarts Express at Disney World. Great ride, but wrong park. I say that semi-kidding, but there are multiple options when it comes to how to get around the Walt Disney World Resort. The number one method are buses, and yes, I know, it can be kind of frustrating sitting around waiting on a bus, especially after waiting in line all day at a park, and then at the end, it's tough to kind of stick around and wait, but it's free, and the buses do constantly run. You could also grab a minivan, which will take you from the park to your hotel or hotel to hotel, park to park, you name it. The minivans are there. You can book that through the Lyft app. Some cases you could also take the monorail, which even goes between Magic Kingdom and Epcot. However, I'll say this again, just don't expect someone on the monorail to pass by and ask if you want anything from the trolley, dears. Again, great ride, but the wrong part. The Skyliner will take you from Hollywood Studios to Epcot with a couple stops or turns along the way and back again. While it doesn't have to take a lot of brain power before your trip, it is worth thinking about for 10 minutes before your trip how you plan to get from hotel to park and back again, so you have a plan in place and you know what you're going to do before you show up at your hotel. This section of park strategy disasters has to begin with trying to do and see everything. You will go absolutely bonkers if you wake up at 6:30 a.m. to rope drop and then stay until park close, and you keep doing this night after night. I've done it, and I wouldn't wish that foot pain on my worst enemy By the way, his name is Keith. Seriously though, you have to plan out what are the most important things that you want to do for yourself or as a family or a group. Park days, they're already going to be stressful, and they're made even more stressful when rides break down and it's hot outside and you're miserable. And then you think to yourself, man, I still have another 32 rides left. Disney World's still going to be here when you come back the next time, and you can hit the stuff that you missed on the last trip. So don't put all this stress on yourself. You're on vacation, and it's okay to skip things if you just can't make it work. I mean, hey, now you have a good excuse to plan another vacation, right? Remember those free guides over at fanvia.com? Yep, there's a reason we put them out, and it's because we wanted our guests to be prepared before showing up on site. I can't tell you the number of screaming matches that I've seen, and honestly, I think it comes down to folks not being prepared. Again, it's hot in Florida like 93% of the time, and that heat combined with staring at your phone all day, combine that with not feeling like you didn't get to do the top 3 things that you wanted, it's going to wear on you after a while. So don't feel like you have to do everything, but for the stuff that you absolutely decided you must do, then you should have a plan to hit them. As well, you should also have a backup when something inevitably goes down or it goes wrong, because it's going to happen. Have a plan, be prepared, and your vacation will go so much smoother. Please do not rope drop Carousel of Progress or Awesome Planet. Don't get me wrong, I love both attractions, but if you got up at 6:30 a.m. to rope drop, then put that time to good use by hitting headliner attractions. In the order of priority at each park, at Epcot, this is Guardians, then Frozen or Ratatouille. But at Epcot specifically, this really depends whether you're coming in from the Skyliner entrance or the main entrance. Over at Magic Kingdom, you want to do Seven Dwarfs or Tron, then hit Tiana's, Space Mountain, or Peter Pan. At Animal Kingdom, you're really just there to rope drop Flight of Passage. At Hollywood Studios, you do have to pick which side of the park you want to do first, either Slinky Dog or Rise of the Resistance. In Central Florida, you can count on 2 things: scorching hot Julys and weather delays at MCO thanks to rain. Both of those things mean that you gotta take a midday break somewhere. If you have littles, you can have a lot more fun at nighttime by going back to the room for a nap instead of trying to do a stroller nap. Trust me on this one. If you have a big kid or an adult, sometimes, well, dad needs a nap too, or a margarita, then a nap. Either way, plan a midday break. Showers in Florida do typically happen in the afternoon through early evening, and that's coincidentally when it can be the hottest out. So midday breaks, they are your friend, use them. Remember FastPass and Genie Plus and Splash Mountain? Well, you'd be surprised at the number of guides and reviews online that still refer to the current naming conventions of stuff of days gone past. New rules and policy changes and updates, sometimes great, sometimes not so great, they do happen all the time. Like seriously, this stuff is constantly changing. So just be prepared if you're doing this by yourself that you got to pay attention to the ride lists, which are undergoing renovations, or checking with your travel agent for the latest updates. What you saw on your trip 10 years ago, or maybe even a year ago, is probably going to be different than the current experience. And if something is different that you didn't realize before you got there, it's okay. Don't be stressed. You're in vacation mode. Don't let it bother you and ruin your day. It's definitely not worth it. Let's picture this. So you're walking down Main Street and you get blasted in the face by a constant stream of bubbles coming from the stroller just in front of you. Then your kiddo turns around and looks up at you and says, "Hey dad, can I have a bubble wand?" And then your inner vacation poppy says, "Well, of course you can, kiddo. Let's get 2. Okay, so maybe 2 bubble wands is kind of overkill, but not budgeting for souvenirs can lead to a big surprise later on. To prevent headache and heartaches, we usually suggest giving each kiddo and even some of the adults their own gift card with a set amount on it. So everyone knows when they go to the parks, they have $25 or $20 or whatever amount you set. They know that they've got that amount and they're ready to spend it on whatever they want. When you do this, it's actually pretty cool to step back and watch the kids barter. Like, hey, if you give me $5 off of your card, then you can play with my new toy for 2 minutes. Well, we've seen a lot of kids help cover their own siblings' overages with their gift cards. It's a great learning experience for kids. And again, it's all about the memories that you make together. And kids usually take ownership of something that they had to buy with their own gift card. By the way, we also give out free rewards and free gift cards for every trip booked at fanvia.com or with one of our travel advisors. Just saying, it's not a bad way to get started on budgeting for those souvenirs. The opposite side of not budgeting for souvenirs is buying too much stuff, and Val's not here right now, so I can handle this section myself. You don't have to buy it all. And if you are going to go to the parks, it's okay to set a budget. Like, hey, we can spend this amount on souvenirs or stuff that, we really want to get, like t-shirts or ears, hats, lounge fly bags, you name it. You can put a budget to it. Pick something as a family that you really want to buy. So for our family, we love to buy Christmas ornaments, and there are amazing Christmas shops at both Magic Kingdom and Epcot. So at Magic Kingdom, it's over near Liberty Square. And then at Epcot over by Germany, they have a great Christmas ornament selection in both of those places. But you can also find ornaments at Animal Kingdom and at Hollywood Studios at a couple of different shops that are there. It's okay to set a budget for souvenirs. Buy something that you think that you will really love. Don't get your heart set on something and then go buy it and regret it later. It's just not worth it. Don't stress about the money. You're on vacation, but do pre-plan how much you want to spend on souvenirs for yourselves as mom and dad. It will go a lot easier than when you get to the park and then you're fighting about like, oh, this is too much money. It's not worth that stress. Don't put that on yourself. We all hate waiting in line for rides, right? So why wait in line for food too? Mobile Order allows you to select a time for pickup for your order, and you can order everything that you would at the counter, by the way. Ordering is super easy in the My Disney Experience app, and if a restaurant's really popular during busy times, like for example, if you want a coffee at 8 a.m., you're probably gonna have to order well in advance, and you can schedule that in advance. You can schedule it for any point in the day. That actually brings up a really important point here. So you can order something in the evening when you're on your way back to the resort. Let's say you're on the bus and you got those after park munchies or those late night munchies. When you're on the bus, place the order and that food will be ready by the time you get back to your resort. Mobile Order is awesome, and you should definitely take advantage of it as much as possible during your park days or your resort days. Hi, my name is Ben, and I am not a Dasani fan. I would actually rather drink Gold Peak iced tea than Dasani, and as a guy who grew up in the South, that's pretty much blasphemy when it comes to talking about drinking tea. Like 90% kidding here, 10% maybe not. We're big Owala fans, and we have a link in the description below to our favorite bottles that we throw in the stroller. Even in the summer heat down in Florida, those bottles keep the water ice cold. Save your money for souvenirs and don't grab multiple water bottles every day. It really does add up quick when it's like 1,000,000,000 degrees outside. So how do you actually get free water and ice at the parks? Well, after placing a mobile order at your favorite quick service restaurant, you can also get a cup of ice, and there will either be a water container for you to fill up, or there's right outside at any of the bathrooms, there's quick bottle refill stations. Every quick service restaurant will give you ice, and actually if you need it, they'll give you a cup of ice water. I should note, however, here that the water at Disney definitely has its own, let's call it signature taste or mouthfeel. I can't really explain it over video format. You just gotta try it. But anyways, it's definitely better than paying $5 for a bottle of water. Trust me on this one. All right, bud. So when we are at Magic Kingdom or Animal Kingdom, or Hollywood Studios, or Epcot, what do we love to go play on?
Playground.
That's right. We should never skip a playground, right? They're a lot of fun.
Yes, but the playground I like is Jurassic Park.
Oh, you like the dinosaur one?
Yeah, I like the shooters.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff to do at these different playgrounds, right? But they're not boring.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah, super fun.
And they also have all of them that slide.
Yes, they do have a lot of slides.
Isn't us? We have 2 slides.
Yeah, so when you go to the playground, mom and dad get to sit and relax. We can play on our phones, or we can just sit and get cool because it's so hot outside. We have our fans. What's another good ride? Do you like Dumbo?
Yes, and the playground of Dumbo.
Oh, the playground at Magic Kingdom? That's a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah, that's so much fun. So much fun.
So it's not boring though.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, so it's not boring. So there's a lot of stuff at each of the different parks that, you may be tempted to skip, but it's totally not boring. The kids get to have a great time. You and as mom and dad get to go relax and have a nice time yourselves. So don't skip the boring stuff. It may seem boring to you as an adult, but it's definitely not going to be boring to them. And it's something that they're going to talk about for a really long time out. If you are surprising the kiddos with a trip to Disney World, this one's a little bit harder to do until the day of, but a lot of kiddos do have epic meltdowns at Disney World, usually around 2:33 p.m. You had lunch a couple hours ago, they're starting to get a little hangry, and now it's pouring rain outside, which means the moment it stops, it's going to be hot. Taking even 5 minutes to game plan with the family before the trip starts and say, hey, this is how we will act and this is how we won't act in the parks is some of the best preparation you can do before your trip. Even if Aiden, Jaden, and Brayden are super well behaved normally, The lines and heat can get to anyone after a while. And I know I keep referencing the heat and I hope it doesn't deter you, but I've been in the parks pretty much year round for the last couple of years now, and families often fight and have disagreements, sometimes very loudly, due to poor planning, and honestly the weather can get to you. So that's what this whole video is really about, helping you have a game plan, getting your game face on before the trip, and you will actually have a much better time together on your trip. It is pretty cool that you can have breakfast in the French Riviera with Mickey at Topolino's Terrace, then hop on the Skyliner to head to Hollywood Studios to take a pic with Sorcerer Mickey, all on the same day. There are a ton of character meet and greet opportunities at each park, which are already included in your park visit. I will say though that some of our family's favorite memories have happened during character dining experiences, like that one time that Ariel planted a kiss on the cheek of my 3-year-old son, and even at 3 years old, he got super embarrassed. Then there was our youngest who was super scared of characters, didn't want to meet anyone, until randomly one day at Crystal Palace, he wanted to meet Eeyore. Character dining lets you get up close with some of your favorite characters and make lifelong core memories. However, they are not cheap, and you totally do not need to feel like you are missing out if you don't hit all of them. In fact, there are some character dining experiences that you could skip and you'll be okay, like, for example, Be Our Guest. The value of the interaction times the food quality sometimes just doesn't add up, and that's totally okay. At the end of the day, every hour you spend on vacation should be relaxing, and you don't need to rush from one resort to another, then to a park, just to do all the character dining meals. Too much stress. But we do have several that we love, and the food is great, but at the end of the day, there are no characters that you can only meet at meal times. If you aren't able to get a character dining time or go to that restaurant that you really wanted to, no biggie, you can still meet that character, and you can find that character's in-park location at any time in the My Disney Experience app. There's a lot of tears that come when your kiddo can't ride the ride that they had their heart set on. So if you don't have your kids' measurements, I promise you're gonna know them by the time you get off of your trip. Before you head on your trip there, just grab a tape measure and go grab all your kiddos' heights and map out which rides you think that they can ride. We have a ton of guides at fanvia.com all about the different ride heights and what they could ride at 38 inches versus 40 inches. And yes, they do check this when you are going up to a ride. Some rides have multiple checkpoints, so if they look like they are close enough at that first checkpoint, the cast members later on in the queue have the full authority to say, like, no, I'm sorry, your child's not tall enough quite yet. They may be a half inch short. And we've had this happen to us where we get like halfway through the queue and they say, it's not tall enough yet. I'm so sorry, buddy. You can't ride this ride. Causes lots of tears. And so don't put yourself in that situation. Also, like, don't try and like stuff extra socks or something like that in the shoes, because if the kiddo can't walk, then the cast member won't let them get on the ride. So it's a mistake that some people try to make their kids taller, and just doesn't work out in the end 100% of the time. The other mistake that kind of goes with this is not using rider switch effectively. We actually didn't know about this the first time we went to Disney many years ago. And it's an amazing system where you can walk up to a cast member, say, hey, we're going to do rider switch. I'm going to take this kid and this kid. And while dad's hanging out with the kid that wasn't tall enough, or maybe you've got a baby in a stroller, or you've got another family member that needs care and then somebody has to stay outside with them, but they do want to ride the ride. Mom, for example, will take the kiddos that are tall enough, scan their magic band, scan the app, whatever they need to do. You're going to wait in that standby line. If you are in that first group gets off. Dad or whomever didn't get to ride the first time gets to go through the lightning lane also with those kids. So if you have kiddos that got to go with mom in that first group and wait for the standby line, those kiddos get to ride with dad by going through the lightning lane. Also, if you have a lightning lane, you can use both the lightning lane for that first group and the second group. But rather than having to wait as an entire party in the standby line 2 times, only one person or one group has to wait in that standby line. Then the second group gets to get on the ride a lot faster by doing the lightning lane. So know your rider heights before you go to the park. And then also, if you have people that can't ride certain rides, definitely take advantage of rider switch. The My Disney Experience app is your key to the kingdom, literally. You can open up your resort room door with the app, place a mobile order, and even check which lightning lane to grab next. If you don't have the app, I'm going to assume that you're cool with Lightning Lane Premier Pass, which lets you walk onto any ride's lightning lane once per day at any time you choose. It's pricey, but if you don't have that, then you're definitely going to want to get the app on your phone so you know what's going on in the park at all times. Don't wait though to set the app up until you're checked in. If you're doing dining reservations on the website, you can use that exact same login in the app. And you should start checking out the app a couple months before your vacation just to get familiar with all the different sections between dining and rides, lightning lanes. Check it out so you don't feel flustered at 7 a.m. the morning of your park day and you can't find anything. Not a great way to start the day. By the way, Disney is constantly making improvements to the app, and the current app is really good, especially when it comes to finding dining times and getting on wait lists for restaurants. Do yourself a favor, go download it right now from the App Store while you're watching the remainder of this video. This is the last time I'll talk about weather, I promise. We know it's hot and that rain showers can happen out of nowhere. We've tried every combination of fan. We've also tried some umbrellas which have fans and misters built in, and we actually have this video here from our Instagram.
My umbrella? A fan inside.
However, after trying all the different things that are out there, there are two recommendations that I can make for fans. One, these handheld fans are the best. They're our favorite. Battery lasts a long time. If you have a stroller, these stroller fans are awesome to attach to the stroller, keep the kiddos cool during those hot summer days. I will say this, neck fans really don't have the best power. They also kind of make your neck a little sweaty, which is not ideal. I will also mention that umbrellas, they're pretty great for July and August. Those temperatures are higher. If you have a stroller, you also definitely want to get a stroller rain cover. A soaked stroller isn't ideal, but when the rain happens, you just got to go with the flow and enjoy it. Make memories of your kiddos playing in the rain at Magic Kingdom. They won't forget it, and neither will you. I actually did an experiment last month where I wore my Hokas one day, and then the next day I wore some Costco special Flojo flip-flops just to see what the difference was like, and it was brutal. On the one hand, the flippies were awesome. They worked really nicely when it was pouring down rain, but by 6 p.m. that night, the dogs were barking, let me tell you. But let's not forget, any park you go to, you're going to be walking several miles each day, whether you're going to Animal Kingdom, Epcot, Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or even Disney Springs. You're going to be doing a lot of walking. Choosing the right shoes and especially bringing a second pair in case one gets drenched is so important for every member of the family. Disney World is not the best place to try and break in a new pair of shoes. So what do we wear as a family ourselves? I like Hokas, Val likes her On Clouds, and the kids, they love their Crocs. After lots of trial and error, this is what works for us, and we found the brands and styles of shoes that help us get through our day without any feet complaints. Pro tip here, bring an extra pair of socks and stick it in a backpack or stroller if you are doing an all-day parkathon. It's like throwing pixie dust straight onto your feet at 5 p.m. when you change those socks for a clean pair. This is a hard one for me because as someone who runs a travel company, I constantly have to post to Instagram and TikTok or try to get footage for our YouTube channel here. I do have to remind myself to be intentional, slow down, Ben, enjoy the moments as they happen, because if I tried to grab every little interaction that happens all day long, then I would end up missing so much. So my advice for you is to, of course, take a ton of family pics, but don't be super buried in your phone and don't just stare at those memories as they happen through a screen, because you will forget to keep those memories buried within you. That sounded super sappy, and I promise AI didn't write that. When we are trying to take pictures of things, there's a chemical reaction that happens in our brains when we are looking at something with our eyes live versus watching a screen live. It's just something that happens in our brains. That memory ends up being not as powerful, and it's a lot easier for you to forget. The other piece of advice I would give for you to avoid making this mistake is to get the memory maker added to your vacation package. Yes, it is an extra cost, but it's worth every penny to have a professional take those pictures for you, and you can do it all day long, all throughout the park. Seriously, there are cast member photographers all over the place. The pictures are really high quality, and they might even have some magical touches added when you see them in the app later that night, because yes, all these pictures are in the My Disney Experience app for you to check out at any time. So one of our routines is actually getting back to the room at night. We sit down as a family and we kind of scroll through the My Disney Experience app at all the pictures, and we look and see like what was taken of us throughout the day. There's actually a very precious memory that I have of me and Hunter on our first Disney trip. We were at Magic watching some fireworks, and a cast member took some pictures of us, and I didn't know it was happening, but she walked up and said, "Hey, I put a card in your pocket, check it out later." She took a ton of great pictures, and they are super precious core memories that I will never forget. It's stuff like this that only happens at Disney. These special little touches and stuff like that that I'll never forget. But at the end of the day, take pictures, but don't be so obsessed with trying to grab every single thing that you miss out on the entire experience. Our slogan here at Fan Via Travel is that vacations are emotional. You're spending thousands of dollars to go on vacation, and you expect to go and have an amazing time. When something goes wrong, and it inevitably will, or if you didn't have a good plan in place ahead of time and you're just frustrated that something happened in the parks or something really irked you at the resort, there is going to be that tendency to get stressed to the max. This last mistake is the most important one, and it's something that we all fall victim to at one point or another in our vacation. It's really not supposed to be that way. At the end of the day, do you want to go on vacation and let that bad stuff happen to you and then you carry that the entire trip? No, bad stuff's going to happen and things could not fall into place exactly like you planned it. But hey, that's why you watch this YouTube video, because you learned about the most common mistakes that are going to happen to folks that actually go to Disney World on vacation and have a good time. Don't let the process of being on vacation pull you into stressed out dad or mom or kid mode. That is a core memory that you don't want to keep remembering forever. Once you step foot on Disney property, you're there to enjoy yourself and create lasting memories with your friends and family, and it does you no good to be stressed out. A lot of these mistakes are super silly, and we've been talking about the different mistakes here with Bennett, and they don't matter in the long run. You're going to go on vacation, have a really good time. We've surveyed a ton of the guests that have taken trips with our team, and by and large, these mistakes are super avoidable. You don't have to make them. That's why you've watched this video here. But now it's time to go to fanvia.com, go read all of our planning guides, get connected with a certified Disney vacation planner, and then go ride the #1 ride at Disney World, right?
You gotta like Pew Buzz.
That's Space Ranger spin for those that are looking for Pew Buzz in the My Disney Experience app. But go get started on your planning and get started actually enjoying your next trip to Disney World.